It took until October, but we finally have a team. Let's talk some Golden State Warriors 25-26 basketball as it's locked in.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is the good word, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Roster set for the Golden State Warriors. Training camp is underway. Preseason starts on Sunday. Yeah, baby! This is Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We come at you Monday through Friday, live after most every single game. My name's Charlie Walter. I covered the team in the past for 95.7 The Game, also CBS San Francisco, KPIX. Matt Kolsky joins the program today. He was formerly of 95.7 The Game with myself, also worked at KNBR in San Francisco. All right, Kolsky, long summer is over. The Golden State Warriors installment of this year seems to be set. You have some questions about their 15th roster spot being Seth Curry. We do know that DeAnthony Melton is still recovering from that ACL surgery, so he's a no-go to start the season. Again, I think there's enough depth there at this point at the shooting guard position to where you're not terribly concerned about that. You just want him fresh when it matters. Al Horford will be joining the team on a 2-year, $12 million, I believe it is, and that's pretty much it. We got to the Will Richard news. He's with the team. Pat Spencer back on a two-way. The Golden State Warriors, as we know them, are set.
Yeah, finally. Very exciting time. I apologize for staring at my phone here, but I'm still trying to figure out. Here's the paragraph in the Shams article, okay? We talked about this live last night, and some people in the chat were talking about it. I'm not going to read their comments today because we're not live, but I understood it, as several of the people in the chat did, that there's a date in November, financially speaking, because the apron stuff is so complicated. But my understanding, like some people in the chat, was that they basically couldn't go into the season or didn't want to go into the season with a 15-man roster. But if they left that spot open for the first month, like financially, they'd be able to do something about it. Here's the paragraph in the Shams article on ESPN. Also Tuesday, the Warriors agreed to a 1-year deal with free agent Seth Curry. Sources told ESPN, blah, blah, blah. However, the Warriors cannot enter the season with 15 standard players on the roster unless they make a trade. But Seth Curry is expected to be on the roster for the majority of the campaign. Now, ignoring the fact that that sentence begins with a however and includes a but, I don't know what that means. I can't hear you. Is that
That's
my
like
fault?
5 games into the season, right?
Yeah, but I mean, did he sign a deal or did he not sign a deal?
Did
Is
the
he gonna
Warriors
be in
announce
training
it
camp?
formally? Does he have his picture up on the website, or is this all? I think it was just a Shams report at this point. So until the Warriors, because they're posting everyone.
So that may be it. It
so
may
let's
just
see.
be that we're going to get the confirmation from Shams, and we know this is happening, but they're not officially going to do it until.
Yeah, we have a Gary Payton, a welcome Gary Payton. We have a welcome Al Horford. We have a Jonathan Kuminga has re-signed.
What about Melton?
I haven't seen anything on Melton this second, but again, he's easing into the season, so I don't think they're terribly concerned about that this second.
Well, I think that may be, this is what I'm getting at, is the question may be, is it Melton or Seth that has to wait to officially sign the deal? Because one of them does.
Okay. Gotcha.
Spencer's on a 2-way. But Will Richard is not. Will Richard, I think it was a 4-year deal. Like they put a lot.
It's the Trace Jackson Davis contract.
And it's a smart way to do it, to get a guy who you know you're not going to have a lot of playing time for, but you like as a player, lock him down, develop him, hopefully, and think about his future. So, but that's a real roster spot. So they're at 13 right now with the intention of adding both Melton and Curry by November. And I'm guessing, if we're going to go by the website announcements, and again, this is just speculation on my part, but I would speculate that the decision right now is, can we sign Seth and kind of leave Melton in the cold and let him rehab at our facility, but not officially sign him until it makes the salary cap financial
team player,
sense.
Man.
I don't know, man.
D'Anthony Melton, Mount Rushmore of all-time Warriors team players. I mean,
I'll say this.
Think about it, dude. He goes, okay, yeah, I'll get traded to Brooklyn for Dennis Schroeder, but I wouldn't mind coming back. And boom, it happens. And if this happens, it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be playing anyways. I'll rehab, and we'll see you in 9 days. Boom.
Right. Well, okay, more than that. Here's the craziest part. I'm looking it up right now. How many, without looking, regular season games and starts would you guess D'Anthony Melton had with the Warriors?
Last year, it was...
Give me a number for games and starts.
6 games, 3 starts?
2 starts. But yeah, 6 games, 2 starts. It has to be the greatest player-team love affair to happen in the space of 6 games and 2 starts in the history of sports. And
they loved him in Memphis.
Well, I loved him as a signing for the Warriors. I loved what we did see in those 6 games and 2 starts, a total of about 120 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously, beyond that, he must have fit spectacularly well behind the scenes for them to do all this, to bring him back when he's not even ready to play at the start of the season, as we're now finding out. So we'll see what happens there. As you said, 2 guard is the position where they have the most cover of all the places. So whichever one of them ends up on the roster for the first 5 games, it is a month. But from the regular season, I think it's, 3.5 weeks from the start of the regular season. There's only going to be, less than 10 games, I would guess, in that time. So it's not the end of the world, but that is something weird that's going to develop over the next few days.
And don't forget, Melton, he went off in that OKC win at the beginning of last season, primetime game. We saw Melton with some good moments last season, a couple games in double figures in those 6. So,
but given his injury history, you don't want to rush him.
No.
Sure.
So, but it'll be a nice addition when he does return. Steve Kerr on team now going into the regular season for the first time with Jimmy Butler, how it's going to look different, and just how excited they are to have a couple of alphas, a trio of alphas, one of the best defensive players in the league, the 3 alphas. Here's Steve Kerr.
How to have them full time. It's not like we're all of a sudden putting in all these plays, and we're not, it's not like, okay, we have a full season, so we're going to run this set and that set. You don't really need to run sets with Jimmy. He's an ISO player, one of the best in the league at creating shots for himself or others. But it's nice to have him for the full camp, for the continuity, the chemistry that he's building with his teammates.
Continuity. That's a word that I want to bring up because, I mean, it's really all sports nowadays. You look at what's happening at the collegiate level and the transfer portal, and nowadays I like college football, but good God, I couldn't tell you 5 quarterbacks in the country and where they play. It just is a moving wheel at all times. NBA, to a certain degree, there's always a lot of turnover. There hasn't been a ton of teams consistently that runs it back. And that's what the Warriors are doing, minus Kevon Looney, adding a floor spacer and Al Horford that can help Jonathan Kuminga and certain players that maybe don't space the floor as well, give him some more playing time. Why shouldn't we feel bad about the Warriors? Do you like the continuity, just bringing back the entire team from last year kind of quietly, right? It's the same team pretty much.
Yeah, from the Jimmy Butler era, right? And I think we've obviously talked about how, and I think Steve Kerr has talked about how he hopes to use some players differently and or better, but there's no doubt we love Kevon Looney. We stand for Kevon Looney on this podcast, but in terms of what the Warriors need, and frankly, specifically for the purpose of being able to better utilize Kuminga, I think Al Horford is a significantly better fit in the same way that we saw down the stretch of last year that Quentin Post was a better fit for those lineups, right? Mm-hmm. You need a big guy, and the advantage you get with Al Horford is not only experience, but obviously like a stellar defensive record that won't clog the paint on offense and can still help you offensively, and then also can play some defense against bigs for you. Mm-hmm. So Draymond is not being asked to overextend himself over the course of the regular season. Yes, Al Horford is old. Yes, you'll manage his minutes, but This is a guy who has pretty much you've been able to count on him for 60 plus games a year. And I think 60 to 65 games is probably the Warriors' target for most of their veterans. And that's where some of these young guys, the incredible depth at 2 guard with guys who are at least willing to put the ball up, the incorporating, hopefully, of Jonathan Kuminga, those things should help them in that respect. I mean, I think there's every reason to feel pretty good about this Warriors team.
Yeah. Stock up, man. Let's talk about Steve Kerr stock. Will he be the Warriors coach moving forward? Because that's actually a storyline that we're not going to talk about through the regular season, we hope. But entering the season, it's something you at least got to keep your eye on. Steve Kerr saying that he doesn't expect any extension talks to go down this season, and they'll kind of reassess with his contract expiring at the end of the summer. If he's going to be the head coach long-term, what the deal is, we'll discuss that for a little. Coming up on Locked On Dubs. Shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton's built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performances. Some of the nice things about the Peloton IQ system: it offers you real-time strength coaching, suggests the right weights, making every rep safer and smarter as it corrects your form while you go. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the tread, swivel that thing over to strength training without missing a beat from your favorite instructor. And which instructors do you like? It depends. Personalize your class recommendations. It keeps you engaged, and you get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each day or each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. All right, Steve Kerr and the contract. That's a situation that's going to go down eventually. Also, Brandon Pajemski extension eligible after this season. Aside from that, we're looking at a team it's pretty set in stone with Al Horford signing a multiple-year deal. So Steve Kerr, his future, is he going to work on any sort of an extension during this regular season if the Warriors get off to a hot start and things are looking good? He said, that's not the plan. We'll reassess when the time comes.
Let's just see how it is at the end of the year. And I love my job. I love what I'm doing every day, and can't wait to get to the building. And, hopefully I'm here for another few years, but I think it makes sense for the organization and for me just to see where this thing is at the end of the year, where they are, where I am. And hopefully that means we run it back and we keep going with this group, and that'd be awesome. It's going to happen the right way. If it's meant to be for me to keep going, then I'm going to keep going. And if it's meant to be for, the team to move on to somebody else, there will be, nothing but gratitude and appreciation. So
I want to give Steve Kerr a little bit of credit right now for how seamlessly everything went down with the addition of Jimmy Butler last year. And sure, you got to give the credit first to the player himself, but Steve Kerr kind of sat back and just said, I'm going to enjoy the ride. Like, I was watching the video today when the vibes were at an all-time high after Buddy Hield put on the wrong shorts and had to run back to the locker room Calvin Cambridge style and grab his shorts. I looked at Steve Kerr's face and he was just amused. He's just like, I'm having fun right now coaching. There was a period last year where he admittedly was not having any fun coaching. What do you think about his future? I've had people on the show that have said Steve Kerr's not going anywhere. Me, myself, believes that I think they truly will assess how the season goes. And if it's a disaster, I don't think he'd be back. I don't think it'll be a disaster, though.
I would be shocked if Steve Kerr... I would be shocked if Steph Curry ever plays for a different coach on the Warriors. So,
simply put, yeah.
So take from that what you will. On the other hand, I think you can even kind of read between the lines of what Steve is saying. I am equally confident in saying that Steve Kerr is going to coach in the NBA for a long time to come,
whether
with or without the Warriors.
Yes.
He is nowhere in there did he say, like, I might just chill, right? He's like, I love to coach. I want to be coaching. Hopefully it's here.
Yeah.
And I think that's how he feels about it. I don't think he's lying to you when he says that. He's going to coach. So I say that to also say, again, let's go past Steph now, because I believe Steve will be the coach as long as Steph is here. But post Steph, okay, I think Steve Kerr would be willing to coach the Warriors past Steph, provided the Warriors are willing to kind of listen to him about some stuff. And I think the Warriors organizationally would be happy to have Steve past Steph, provided they can agree about certain things. But I don't think it's a given that they will end up agreeing about those things.
Yeah.
So what I would expect is an extension at the end of this year that mirrors whatever Steph Curry has. Again,
So
barring
year.
some kind of crazy disaster that, whatever. But that's hard to imagine, because
I think
this team has been through so much under Steve Kerr, and he has held it together. And by the way, for all the criticism I've had of the guy, mostly around one player, of course you keep Steve Kerr for as long as you can, because the second part is of him wanting to coach. Whenever you part ways, you have to be okay with the fact that he's going to come back and coach against you, and you better believe the guy you get is going to be just as good, which is not an easy bar to reach.
No, not at all. The motivation, you would think, from Steve Kerr after the Steph Curry era is done to be the long-term head coach of the Warriors and lead another rendition to the NBA championship are astronomical. I mean, there aren't many coaches that survive those two iterations and can be the forever coach, essentially. He's still young enough. He's still got another decade in the tank if he wants to do it. So I truly 1,000% agree with what you're saying in terms of that extension. I just don't know if it would be a 1-year deal or if they would, bring it up to a 4 or 5. I mean, at the end of the day, the Kuminga noise turned into best case scenario if they're actually just cool, which is a high possibility, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's all business. It truly is all business.
I'm not saying this is the most likely scenario, but I certainly do not think it is outside the realm of the possible. As lots of people, and many of the Kuminga haters have said correctly, whether you agree with him or not, Steve Kerr did what he thought was best to win games, and he would never do anything other than that. Given the level of talent that Kuminga has, and given that they're all in this marriage right now, whether they like it or not, the best for all parties is for everyone to do well. The Warriors to do well, Kuminga to play well and play, right? That's all in everyone's best interest. And I think it's certainly possible that they find a way to incorporate him, and he finds a way to do some of the things that they're asking, where they meet in the middle, and he's a very productive and someone who is not only very productive, but flashes truly exciting talent and becomes a major trade target, or that, hey, he's doing some of what they want, they're doing some of what he wants. Suddenly, everybody's happy. He's playing well, and suddenly, the picture of what he could be as a one of the pieces that move forward with the franchise after Steph Curry, like,
stock could go right back up.
Right.
Stock,
again, I'm not saying it's the most likely scenario, but it is certainly a scenario that feels well within the realm of possibility to me. And I don't think Steve Kerr or Jonathan Kuminga are closed-minded to that potentially happening. I don't believe that they are. Think
of how quickly he had to ramp up things last season, what the Warriors were up against. I mean, they had to win pretty much every single game. They won just about they were 23-8, I think was the record after Jimmy Butler, and they missed the playoffs. Like, how do you go 23-8 in the second half after getting him, 500 and miss the playoffs 15 games? And it's because everyone else was winning. Literally everyone was winning 4 or 5 games in a row before losing. And the Clippers, the Lakers, everyone but the Grizzlies, they just went rolling, went tumbling down the hill, didn't they? But he had to come in with some pressure to perform and to fit, and it was just kind of clunky. And I think we look past the fact that when Curry goes down in the Minnesota series, you see how well he plays with Jimmy. I mean, there was a lot of cutting. There was a lot of being in the right spots. Now, some of it was just obvious basketball 101. When, Draymond has two defenders on him and the lane's wide open, you're going to cut to the bucket. But, I mean, there were some situational awareness plays, when to take it, when to swing it, that he picked up playing with Butler in that Minnesota series that he can bring into this year. And if he's willing to accept being that third wheel, because it's going to be Jimmy and Steph first too, but if you can accept being that third wheel and you do it off the bench and you do it with different lineup combinations and lead different lineup combos like Jordan Poole, you may have something. You're right. And I thought the writing was on the wall that this thing was unsavable, unsalvageable. That was kind of the like reports that he just wants to get the hell out of town. And it may still be true. We don't know. It may just lead to a fast and furious breakup in December with stock at a decent level, and you just get back a little more money than you would have prior.
I think January, but yeah.
January.
Yeah,
but
it may still go that way. But
anything's on the
that's
table,
okay
right?
Too. Yeah. And that's okay too, provided it brings back someone that makes you a better team, which to this point, I don't believe the offers have. Whether the offers have been appropriate value for Kuminga is debatable, but I just don't see how adding Malik Monk, another shooting guard, to this team in exchange for Kuminga and Hield or Moody, at best, that's a lateral move, in my view. So,
and there are teams out there, like, look at the Dallas Mavericks. Not that they're going to be contenders and looking to make a move or something like that. They got a plethora of bigs, right?
Yeah. Plethora of bigs, and I think they intend to be contenders once the team is whole. I don't know how long it will take for that to happen, but depending on what Cooper Flagg gives you, they're interesting. I think the Warriors should be a better team, but they're interesting, and yeah, maybe they Kuminga isn't necessarily a fit there either. But
I'm just talking teams in general that have assets that the Warriors may want that
Utah.
They did not have a week ago.
Reportedly, Utah wanted Kuminga, right?
Yeah.
If you could now take Kuminga and Moody and a pick, okay, what if you could take Kuminga and Pods and a pick and get Lauri Markkanen right now? That, to me, makes you a significantly better team. That, to me, puts you in a real conversation.
The money's not close, though. The Warriors would have to throw Moody in there, too, just to even make it close.
And listen, there's no question if maybe, it's Hield instead of Moody or whatever, but I don't know what the money is exactly. I am using this as an example merely to say, with Kuminga, if it's true that the Jazz like him, that is now a guy you can put together a package for probably the most tradable, all-star right now, and also probably, in terms of low-level all-stars, the one that would fit the Warriors the best. Lauri Markkanen is a big shooter with, a higher scoring level than any of the bigs that the Warriors have had on the roster in Steph Curry's entire run. It's a tremendous fit and a style of player that Steph's really never gotten to play with. And honestly, it's a buy low opportunity right now. We'll see how he plays it in the early parts of the season, but I can't understand why the Jazz are holding on to him other than to get assets for him. So if the Warriors have assets they like, think about that, right? That all of that becomes possible now because of getting this deal done. And it just drastically, trade or no trade, drastically improves the outlook for the season.
I like to think that Markkanen is, and there are a few teams that I think would be in the running for him. I think Detroit would be an interesting fit. They have a contract in Tobias Harris that's off the books. If, it wanted to be a salary dump, you can also include maybe like a Jaden Ivey or someone that's interesting, that's young, so they have some assets that I don't think the Warriors have, because I think Markkanen's around 48, and you do the math there, especially with, you're not getting full value return on Kuminga. There's some asterisk next to it about little things that are above my pay grade.
But that is the only way you're going to be able to get a player at that level, unless you're trading Draymond or Jimmy, which kind of destroys the whole purpose of this. And again, all of these moves we're talking about now, almost any Kuminga trade would have to be kind of a win now, pay later situation, right? Like it's going all in for Steph Curry in the way that so many fans have asked for years now, and the Warriors have been reluctant to do. But I think they are better positioned to do that now than they have been in a while. So that's a choice they can make. Whether it's the right choice long-term for the franchise is debatable, but anyone could understand why, given what Steph Curry has meant to the organization, you would do everything you can to win while he's still here.
Let's get into the brothers, Seth Curry. What's the role that Seth is going to play for Golden State? That's coming up. NFL season's really heating up, and FanDuel has an offer that you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. You'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Some of my favorite things about FanDuel are the fact that you don't need to see the start of a game in order to get in on the action. If you feel good about a tie game in the fourth inning of the second period, go ahead and hop on the live line. You got player props. You also have over-unders, futures bets. Anything you can imagine is there for you on FanDuel. Whether you're just a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So Seth Curry, whenever it's announced that he's a Warrior, when he's practicing, when he's on the floor at the same time as Seth. First of all, Steph.
It's going to be hard, man.
It's Freudian, man. Pretty easy to tell the difference. But shooting-wise, I mean, Seth, 45% last season.
Career high.
About a 3 per game. Yeah, he was firing. Question is, aside from storylines, this is no, Bronny and LeBron situation, but there's definitely some feel-good vibes to it. There's definitely a fit with his shooting capabilities. There's just a lack of fit with the amount of guards that the Warriors have. And if you're playing Peyton and if you intend on playing Will Richard at all and trying to develop him, like, where's the room for Seth Curry? So the question I ask you, aside from vibes, when will Steph and Seth be playing together this season?
Boy, it's hard to play them together unless you're playing against two other small guards.
They'll do it for a picture.
Look, they played Buddy and Steph together, and Buddy's not exactly a defensive genius. I think, as much as anything, Seth Curry is a credible threat to Buddy Hield for Steve Kerr to use to try to convince Buddy to pay attention more often. Like, what are Buddy Hield's biggest mistakes? It's when he spaces out on defense and somebody back cuts him or something like that, right? It's when too much. It's goofy mistakes, right? He makes goofy mistakes. And Seth Curry, to me, he is smaller and less athletic than Buddy Hield, and older, I think, too. So he obviously, there's a lower upside, but he is a better, more consistent shooter, and he's going to do things right, and he's a pretty good ball handler. So he can back up Steph, I think, a bit. He can play some point guard for you if you want. In a lot of ways, he is a mirror to Gary Payton, right? Gary Payton is a little guy that you can bring in and just lock someone down on the perimeter. Seth is a little guy that you can bring in and just knock down shots.
The antithesis, man. The antithesis, truly. Where's
two
Gary
sides
Payton?
of the same coin?
Where's Gary Payton? Around the basket. Where's Seth Curry? Probably
away
not around
from
the basket. Yeah, away. That way. Starting lineups. Obviously, it's not the end of the day what a starting lineup is. It's what you're doing in between and the combos that you have. And Steve Kerr said, hopefully it's not as fluctuating as last season. A lot of that wasn't by choice. But in terms of starting lineups, they had 38 combinations last year. He joked, I want to make it 39. No, but he said he wants the same unit throughout if possible. Talked about how that lineup with Pods and Moody and Draymond at the 5 could be something they look at with all the success that they had. But with Al Horford not being official when he spoke, he couldn't really detail that. But you would have to think that everything's locked in except maybe the shooting guard position. But I think it's probably locked in. I think it's probably Pods at the 2 and Horford at the 5, at least to start, with Melton not being around.
I hope you're right. For a variety of reasons, I think Pods is the right choice. I am less confident that it will be the choice. I think Buddy Hield is just, look,
Could it
Melton's
be
not.
Kuminga at the 3 and Butler at the 2? Because they talked about going bigger, and Horford gives you that opportunity to space. He said we want to start big, and they started big last year, and it didn't not work. There was just injuries and moving parts.
Buddy Hield, first of all, Buddy Hield is not starting small, right? And
No.
the way they started last year was ideally with DeAnthony Melton. Hield, I'm just looking it up because I don't know offhand, but he's not like,
He's
they,
like
they
6'4".
list him at 6'4". That's not
Yeah.
bad. And Steph isn't small for a point guard, really. He's thought of that way for some reason. I think because he's such a good shooter, but he's a
6'2",
decent
6'3".
size. Yeah, he's 6'2", 6'3", and pretty strong.
Yeah.
So that's not a terrible starting backcourt size-wise. And Pods is, maybe a little thicker than Buddy, but not much. Similar size.
He's
right?
6'4", yeah, same size.
Yeah, same size. So unless you're going to start Moody, which I think there's an argument for that, I would certainly consider it. The Pods Hield thing was a toss-up last year. And early in the season, Pods was terrible.
I don't hate Moody.
Moody would be interesting. Now,
he can benefit from the space on the floor. He's going to benefit from Butler. And then defensively, he just gives you longer arms than Pods. The argument would be if you put Pods in there, you can get that offensive rebounding presence or just rebounding presence in general.
And Moody was much better down the stretch last year, defending guards on the perimeter in terms of moving his feet. But I would say that still becomes then a weakness of this group. Buddy Hield forgets where he is on defense a lot, but he's a little better athletically on the perimeter against guards. I mean, I don't know. He gets blown by 2. You just don't have great perimeter defense on this team. But I until Melton gets back. So here's what I would wonder is he says he wants it to be mostly the same all year. I do think that the idea is to start Horford to take the pressure off Draymond, but Horford gives you a spacer. So, I think there's great value in that, right? That's why he's the guy. If it's those 4, Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, Horford, and the idea ultimately is to once again start Melton, who was the choice last year, then I wonder if Steve won't have Buddy as the placeholder until Melton is back, just because he wants Pods to settle into whatever Pods' long-term role is going to be. On the other hand, like I said, I think I probably choose Pods, not only because I think it works well, logistically and basketball-wise, but because, gosh dang it, people, I really want to avoid another extension restricted free agency drama with a young player who's important to what the Warriors want to do. Like
we won't talk about that.
We're not going to talk about it now.
Kerr's contract.
No, we're not going to talk about it now or hopefully during the season. But like, Pods deserves the chance, does he not? He played very well down the stretch of last season after a really tough start. He was a very promising rookie. To me, qualifications-wise, it's probably about a toss-up between him and Hield and Melton in terms of who should be given first shot at the starting job. But if I have a toss-up choice between those 3 options, I'm going to go with the guy that I drafted and hope to have around in the long term because, A, give him a chance, and if it works, that's the best scenario for the team. And B, I just want to maintain that relationship on the best possible level so I at least can say, bro, we gave you the starting job to start the season. And if you didn't seize it, that's your problem.
You in for Sunday preseason?
I'm in for watching it. Yeah. But let's maybe we wait and see if there's anything to talk about it, because if it's 40 minutes of Will Richard, I don't know that we need to discuss that. But
last season we got 28 threes in a game, man. We had
true.
a record-setting performance to talk about that doesn't go in the book.
If it's record-setting, we should definitely discuss it.
We went live at the Horn for every single game last season, and that showed the faithful, the Locked On Warriors faithful, that we're all about it. So I expect to see you there Sunday, Kolsky.
All right.
Tell the kids Daddy's going to have to wait for a half hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. We do what we have to do here at Locked On Warriors.
Kolsky may see on bullying. Sunday. I'll see you on Sunday, and we'll have another show before then, breaking down a bunch of different topics. Moses Moody, his role specifically. Steve Kerr talked on that. He went 25 minutes at the podium after day one of camp. We got plenty to bring you at this point. No more hypothetical trades of potentially bringing in Herb Jones, Kolsky. That would have been nice, though.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's totally off the table, is it? What does Herb Jones make? Like 25?
We'll see, man. We'll see. The options are a lot more fruitful at the deadline if you can get to that point. But everyone needs to work together towards the common goal.
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya. Mike Kolsky. See ya.